Smash that like button like it owes you money. Subscribe if you're brave enough, and comment if you think you can handle the truth. Because tonight's story crawls out of California's darkest cells. The police chase tore through downtown Los Angeles at 2:17 a.m., tires screaming, engines howling, red and blue lights cutting through the fog like blades. A black Escalade ran 3 lights, clipped a hydrant, and nearly took out a bus full of night shift workers. Inside the SUV were 3 men in tactical vests, assault rifles on the floor, and a trunk packed with burner phones, encrypted laptops, and $2 million in vacuum-sealed cash. When the Escalade finally spun out beneath the 6th Street Bridge, one suspect ran. He didn't make it far. Officers tackled him against cold concrete, cuffed his wrists, and pulled his mask off. That's when the first strange detail surfaced. Tattooed across his neck, in faded prison ink, were the words, Solano Unit, C Block. Detective Mara Kincaid stared at the marking under her flashlight. Solano State Prison sat nearly 400 miles north. Maximum security. No internet access. No outside contact except monitored calls. Yet this man was running a multi-million-dollar operation in downtown L.A., like a corporate CEO. Inside the Escalade, officers found shipping manifests tied to ports in Long Beach, Rotterdam, and Antwerp. Crypto wallets, payroll spreadsheets, bribe schedules. The paperwork read less like a street crew and more like a multinational company. The suspect wouldn't talk. He just smiled. At sunrise, Kincaid stood in the evidence room, coffee untouched, watching analysts project data onto the wall. Wire transfers bounced through shell companies. Smuggled phones activated inside prison walls. Messages signed with the same alias over and over. The Architect. Nobody in state or federal databases had that name. Then another call came in. A body had been found behind a self-storage facility near San Pedro. No wallet, no phone, just a single folded note in his pocket with a prison ID number written in pen. The dead man wasn't supposed to be on the streets. He was listed as incarcerated at Solano State Prison. Kincaid drove north that afternoon, past dry hills and razor wire fences, into a place that smelled like bleach, sweat, and control. Solano rose out of the dust like a concrete fortress. Guard towers tracked her car the entire way in. Inside, Warden Ellis looked nervous. Too nervous. "You're saying my inmate is dead in L.A.?" Ellis asked. "And your inmate was running shipments across 3 continents," Kincaid replied. They walked C-block, steel doors, hollow echoes, eyes watching from behind bars. In cell C-19, guards opened a door that was supposed to hold Marcus Vale. Life sentence. Gang ties. No parole. But the bed was neatly made. The locker was empty. And hidden behind the sink was something that made Kincaid's stomach tighten. A sealed smartphone. Not 1. 6. Each buzzing. Incoming calls. Encrypted. Active. Kincaid picked one up as it vibrated in her hand. A new message appeared on the screen. Unknown. If you're reading this, detective, you're already too late. Then another text arrived. Unknown. The prison isn't holding the Empire. It is the Empire. And when guards finally forced open the locked maintenance tunnel behind C-block, what they found rewrote the entire case. The maintenance tunnel behind C-block smelled like rust, mold, and secrets that never saw daylight. When the bolt cutters snapped the lock, the metal echoed down the corridor like a gunshot. Flashlights sliced through darkness, revealing a narrow passage crawling beneath the prison like a buried vein. Detective Mara Kincaid stepped in first. What waited below Solano State Prison wasn't a tunnel. It was a command center. Walls were lined with stolen servers bolted into concrete. Power cables snaked into hidden outlets drilled through the foundation. Monitors glowed with shipping routes, offshore accounts, port schedules, and live CCTV feeds from places that were never supposed to connect to a prison cell. A digital map pulsed across the screens. Long Beach, Oakland, Mexico, Belgium, Turkey. At the center of it all sat a metal desk, and a chair that was still warm. "Jesus," one officer whispered. "They're running a corporation down here." Forensics began pulling drives. Each one told the same story. Solano inmates weren't just criminals, they were executives. Some ran logistics. Others handled laundering. A few coordinated hits. Prison phones had been replaced with smuggled satellites hidden inside cleaning carts, lunch trays, even library books hollowed with precision tools. But the name behind every order was identical. The Architect. Kincaid studied one recovered video file. Grainy footage showed a man seated in shadow, face blurred by deliberate distortion. His voice was calm, controlled. Every empire needs structure, the voice said, and every structure needs obedience. Then the screen cut to a port in Long Beach. Cranes, containers, armed men moving with military discipline. Kincaid felt her pulse climb. This wasn't prison crime. This was organized warfare. Back upstairs, chaos erupted. An inmate transport van had vanished during a routine medical transfer. GPS disabled, guards unconscious, and one name on the manifest made Kincaid freeze. Marcus Vale, the same inmate whose cell had been empty, the same man officially serving life, the same man declared dead in L.A. He's alive, Kincaid whispered, and he's moving. They tracked the van to a burned-out warehouse near Stockton. Inside, bullet casings littered the floor. 2 guards were alive, but shaking, blood on their uniforms. He never touched us, one gasped. He just walked past, like he owned the place. What did he say? Kincaid asked. The guard swallowed. He said, the walls were never meant to hold me. That night, Kincaid's office phone rang. No caller ID. She answered. Silence. Then breathing. Slow. Controlled. You're very curious, detective, the voice said. Curiosity gets people promoted or buried. Kincaid stood. Who are you? A quiet laugh. I built something beautiful behind concrete and cameras. While the world slept, my people moved. Courts, banks, judges, guards. You don't dismantle empires. You inherit their consequences. Is this the Architect? Kincaid asked. No, the voice replied. The Architect is a title. The line clicked. 5 minutes later, an analyst burst into her office, pale. They just wiped our evidence servers, he said. All Solano files gone. At the same time, another call hit dispatch. A judge involved in the Solano investigation had disappeared from his home. Door open. Car still running. Dinner still warm. On his kitchen wall, written in black marker, were 4 words. The walls are watching. Kincaid stared at the photo as her phone vibrated again. One text. Unknown. Chapter 2 ends when someone close to you stops breathing. And across town, surveillance cameras caught a shadow stepping into Kincaid's apartment building, wearing a Solano prison uniform that no one was supposed to have outside the walls. Ever heard of a corporation run entirely from behind bars? Not a front, not a shell company, but a genuine, sprawling enterprise managed by inmates. Sounds like something out of a movie, right? Well, today we re-diving into a story that blurs the line between fiction and a very strange reality. It's a tale of power, secrets, and a detective who stumbled upon an empire built within the walls of a maximum security prison. Our story begins with Detective Miles Corrigan, a seasoned investigator known for his knack for connecting seemingly unrelated dots. He was looking into a series of sophisticated financial frauds that had left a trail of bankrupt small businesses and baffled cybersecurity experts. The targets were random, the methods were flawless, and the culprits were ghosts. No digital footprint, no witnesses, no mistakes. It was the perfect crime, happening over and over again. Corrigan's big break came from an unexpected source, a low-level informant complaining about a new brand of luxury goods suddenly flooding the black market. High-end watches, designer clothes, premium cigars, all untraceable and selling for pennies on the dollar. It didn't make sense. How could such high-quality items appear out of thin air? Corrigan decided to follow this strange thread, suspecting it might be connected to the money laundering aspect of his fraud case. His investigation led him to a peculiar pattern. All the business owners who went bankrupt had, at some point, employed individuals who ended up in one specific correctional facility, Blackwood Penitentiary. It was a long shot, but Corrigan decided to look closer at the prison. On the surface, Blackwood was a model institution, boasting a revolutionary inmate rehabilitation program centered around vocational training. Inmates were taught coding, financial management, and supply chain logistics. The program was hailed as a massive success. But Corrigan smelled a rat. The program was too good, too advanced. He started digging into the prison's finances and discovered something astonishing. The prison wasn't just teaching these skills, it was using them. Under the guise of rehabilitation, the inmates had established a full-fledged shadow corporation. They called themselves the Blackwood Group. Led by a charismatic genius known only as the Warden, a former CEO imprisoned for insider trading, the inmates were running a massive operation. The coders were the ones executing the cyber attacks, draining accounts with surgical precision. The finance guys laundered the money through a complex web of shell companies and cryptocurrency. And the logistics team? They used their connections to source and distribute those luxury goods, undercutting the market and creating another revenue stream. The prison guards were either bought off or intimidated into silence. The prison's official administration was clueless, blinded by the glowing reports of their successful rehab program. The inmates had created a completely self-sufficient ecosystem, a corporation with an untouchable workforce, zero overhead, and no taxes. They were more profitable than many Fortune 500 companies. Corrigan realized he wasn't just dealing with a few rogue criminals. He was up against a corporate entity with its own hierarchy, its own rules, and its own ruthless ambition. To take them down, he couldn't just arrest a few people. He had to dismantle an entire empire. The climax of this incredible story involves Corrigan going undercover, not as an inmate, but as a disgraced financial consultant offering his services to the prison's vocational program. He had to gain the trust of the warden and his inner circle, all while gathering the evidence needed to expose the entire operation from the inside. He was a lone detective in a building full of convicts who were smarter, more organized, and more dangerous than anyone on the outside could ever imagine. It was a high-stakes game of corporate espionage played within the most secure facility in the state. What happens next is a tale for another day, but it just goes to show you, sometimes the most unbelievable stories are the ones happening right under our noses. The line between a prison and a corporate headquarters can be thinner than you think. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this dive into the criminal underworld, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible true stories. See you next time.